Today we're going to talk about dividing fractions. But before we can talk about dividing fractions, we have to talk about what the reciprocal of a number is. Let's look at 1/3 here. And in the fraction 1/3, the number 1 is the numerator and the number 3 is the denominator. To find the reciprocal of 1/3, we're going to switch those two. So the 3 becomes the numerator of the reciprocal, and the 1 becomes the denominator of the reciprocal. So the reciprocal of 1/3 is the number 3/1, or 3. Now here's how you check. 1/3 times 3/1. So a number times its reciprocal. Look at what's going to happen. 1 times 3 is 3, and 3 times 1 is also 3. So you get 1. So the way to check if you have the right reciprocal of the number is multiply the original number times its reciprocal, and you should get the number 1. So again, a number multiplied times its reciprocal equals 1. And this is going to be a good way to check that you have the correct reciprocal. In this example, we have the number 4 and we want to find the reciprocal. Now we know that 4 can be written as a fraction if we just put 4/1. So again, we're going to switch the numerator and denominator for the reciprocal. So we're going to write 1 for the numerator and 4 for the denominator. Remember how to check? 4/1 times its reciprocal, 1/4. Multiplying across, we get 4 times 1 is 4. 1 times 4 is 4, so we get 1, and that checks. This sum of fraction is 6/5. Again, let's switch those two, and the reciprocal will be 5/6. And we're going to check 6/5 times its reciprocal, 5/6, equals, multiplying across, 30 divided by another 30, so it equals 1, and it checks. So oftentimes I will tell my students that to find a number's or a fraction's reciprocal, just flip the fraction upside down. Now we're going to divide and simplify to the lowest terms for each of these fractions. And we start out with the fractions 12/21 divided by 4/7. And what we're going to do is we're going to flip the second fraction. So we're going to find its reciprocal, and then we're going to change division to multiplication. So that kind of goes along with this note that we have right here. To divide fractions, invert or flip the second fraction and multiply. So the first fraction stays the way it is. You change the division to multiplication, and then you flip the second fraction for the reciprocal. Now, always check to see if you can reduce to lowest terms. And I'm seeing that the 7 and the 21 have a factor of 7 in common, so we're going to divide both by 7. That leaves a 1 here and a 3 here. In the same way, the 12 and the 4, they have a factor of 4 in common, so that leaves a 1 here, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. Now we multiply across and we get 3 times 1 is 3 over another 3 times 1. And so we get 3/3, which we know equals 1. So the answer to our division problem is 1. Here's our next problem. Again, we're going to flip and multiply. First fraction stays the way it is. Make this a multiplication and flip the second fraction. Now you're going to look for common factors with a numerator and a denominator, and the 2 and the 8 are both even. So we're going to divide by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4. The 15 and the 25, 5 goes into both of these. So 15 divided by 5 is 3. 25 divided by 5 is 5. Don't see any numerators and denominators having any more common factors, so go ahead and multiply across. So 4 times 5 is 20. 3 times 1 is 3. Now, depending on your math class, you may leave this as an improper fraction, 20 over 3, or you may change it to a mixed number by doing long division. So the 3 goes out here, and the 20 goes in here, and then 3 divides into 20 6 times. 6 times 3 is 18. Subtract those two, and we get 2, and that's your remainder. So make a fraction out of it by using it as a numerator and using our original 3 as our denominator. So you can either leave the answer as 20 over 3 or 6 2/3. This time we have a 2 divided by 3/4. Remember that 2 is the same thing as 2 over 1 divided by 3/4. We flip and multiply. Flip and multiply, so the 2 over 1 stays the way it is. Make this a times. Flip 3/4 to 4/3. Now we're going to look for common factors, but you know there aren't any between numerators with denominators. Yes, the 2 and the 4 both share a factor of 2, but they're both in the numerator, so we can't reduce them. So you're ready to multiply across. 2 times 4 is 8. 1 times 3 is 3. And you can either leave it as an improper fraction, depending on your class, or do our long division. 3 goes into 8 twice. 2 times 3 is 6. Subtracting, we get a remainder of 2, which we use to make a new fraction.